What's a sign that somebody wasn't raised right? Don't take responsibility for their actions. Or worse, they want you to take responsibility for their actions. This is so annoying, and when you say no, that means you are rude. You give them a lift, and they leave rubbish in your car. I forgot my candies and trash in a carpool 6 years ago, and I still remember it. The driver rushed us out, because he made a mistake to be fair, but my freaking brain won't forget it. Hey, free candy. Doubt he minded. How they treat people from whom they have nothing to gain. Retail will tell you about 75% of people exhibit this sign. I worked in retail, it's more like 20% in my experience, but you remember those more on a bad day. The word no just means throw a fit and be as obnoxious as you can be until you get your way. No does not mean that rules are rules or someone's job might be on the line. They're the important one, not anyone else. The kid that sticks out in my mind was screaming I want something in a store back when we all, went to stores. Not like, I want this particular thing. Just something. Buy me something. I must feed my insatiable thirst for stuff. If they're young kids, it's not always a sign that they are being raised right. Sometimes kids can just be brats. Now if that behavior carries on into their teens and adulthood, they probably weren't raised right. If they make messes in public areas and just wander off, leaving trash in the theater, not flushing, leaving the cart in a parking space. The concept of not flushing in a public place is crazy to me. Like, what happened in that person's life for them to feel that's appropriate? Or the mysterious people who smear crap on the walls in Walmart bathrooms. Disrespecting people for doing their job. I worked at an office supply company while I was in college. Let's call it paperclips. I had a full-time position, inventory specialist, on top of going to school full-time, and I was going through a bit of a rough patch. During back to school in late September, this little girl comes in escorted by what I can only describe as an alpha Karen. The kid started pouting and saying she didn't want to go back to school. I was busy running my cycle count report when Ak pointed at me and said something along the lines of, if you don't go to school you'll end up working at paperclips like this guy. Oh, that made me mad. I don't remember exactly what I said in response, but it went essentially like, ma'am, I graduate in 3 months from university less than 1 mile from paperclips and have a job lined up at local hospital. I hope she works here or at McDoodle, so maybe she'll learn the respect you didn't teach her. Not nearly as elegant or eloquent at the time, but you get it. The only time I've ever been written up for a customer interaction, and I don't regret it. Yes, manager, I have a complaint. This employee defended herself when I was being incredibly rude, and I demand you fire her. What a bish. Lack of personal accountability. They can never admit wrongdoing on their part. It's always someone else's fault. Yes, totally. And it's often because immature parents don't realize they should model this behavior by apologizing to their children when they, parent, do something wrong. When you don't respect your kids, they can become disrespectful peens. When my oldest was 3, I apologized to him about something. I don't remember what now, in public. What I do remember is the awful woman I walked away from who was scolding me about how parents should never give away their power by apologizing to children. Now, teachers and myself always believe my kid. Why? Cause he always owns up to stuff and apologizes. Not respecting personal boundaries. If you're wondering why someone has these sorts of issues, take a look at their parents. Dear God, I used to be friends with a guy who was like this. I made the mistake of talking him through some difficult things, and he took that to mean that I wanted him present 24/7. He'd see that I was hanging out with somebody else and then text me bugging me to ditch that person and hang with him instead because he was sad and lonely. I understand not wanting to be sad and lonely, but you can't make me ditch all my other friendships to fix that. I had a friend who got creepy clingy like that. It got to the point that he followed my Snap Map location to where I was with some friends. They didn't know each other and demanding I hang out with him instead. One rule for me, one rule for you. Parents that mess up on the discipline/accountability stage of parenting produce these people. Rules for thee, but not for me. Do as I say, not as I do. Who are the guys who spit out their chewing gum into urinals? I see this all the time at work, and I work in a high-end corporate place. Do they think it dissolves and goes down the pipe? The janitor has to pick that out. I had a guy crap on the floor in the bathroom at my work, then apologize because I was working the shift, not my coworker he hated. People are freaking weird, dude. I worked at a truck stop with 3 bathrooms, a men's, a women's, and a unisex single one in the trucker lounge. The stall in the men's was out of service because people don't understand what a reasonable amount of toilet paper is. Guy comes in, truck bathroom is occupied. Goes to men's, stall out of service. Do you A. wait for the trucker room? B. just go to the women's, which is also just a single room and isn't used much? C. crap in the urinal, then come out and complain that I should lose my job because the stall is out of order? They don't have manners or respect anyone. They never see what they do wrong. Are the old I only give respect if it's earned, so I'm gonna be rude to the world, and if it's rude back they are the assholes. Gotta love those talks with people. Those tough guy types who say that kind of line are usually woefully unprepared for the "well, what do you think you have done so far to earn my respect" question. How they act as a boss when their employee messes up. Yelling and belittling shouldn't be your first option. This was what made me respect the absolute hell out of my manager. I made a mistake on a job a while back, like a big frick up, that cost us a large sum of money. I was fully expecting to get chewed out, and you frick up again, you're out the door, because that's how previous managers had treated us. It's no wonder we had a horrific management and employee turnover rate for years. But no, he came over to the car I was working on, looked at what happened, figured out how the mistake was made, and we talked about it for a couple minutes. I was pretty upset about it, because I'm usually not the type of tech who is negligent and makes mistakes, so when I do, it profoundly bothers me. He saw that. He listened to what I said, and he went through the process of getting replacement parts ordered for what I messed up. The next morning he came to me again, and said, "You know, I was thinking about you last night after I got home, and thinking of what you could do to prevent this mistake from happening again in the future." Gave me a few suggestions for the future, and closed the conversation with a pat on the shoulder and a "we won't need to have this conversation again, brother. I trust you." It was the most meaningful conversation I have ever had with a manager. I got the sense that he really wants to see his employees succeed and grow. It gave me confidence in a moment in which I had none left. This is how you be a leader, not a boss. A leader lends a helping hand and treats you like an equal. A boss treats you like a replaceable piece of meat. They always portray themselves as a victim. Nothing is ever their fault and somebody is always out to get them. The ultimate entitled boob. And not the good kind of boob either. Let me share a story. Part of my job is to fingerprint people for background checks. I come to work, look at my appointments, and then do them. I had just finished a 10:30 apt and was about to call my 10:40 when I was interrupted by this daughter and father combo. They said they had been waiting for 30 minutes and when would we get to them? I looked at my schedule. Strange. I had taken everyone in on time, so I figured they were just here super early. I ask them for their apt paper or screen from their phone and they go crazy. "You make us wait and then you don't trust us?" Listen, I just need to see it so that I can see what time is your apt. No. You bring your boss out here right now. From prior experiences, I knew there was no reasoning with these type of customers, so I asked the receptionist to call for my boss while I bring in my 1040. My boss is able to retrieve their ID and we call headquarters to find out when in God's name is their apt. Turns out, they didn't even have one for that day. Turns out, they had a 10 AM app 3 months ago, in another city, in another state. I'll let them know about this, and they go, "No, we have one today." So I'm show them my schedule. "Look, you're not on here. You don't have an app.ae. It's right there. Learn how to do your job. You wasted our time. Her name is right there." I look at her ID and it's a totally different name. The daughter, who at this point is crying and playing victim, trying to blame us along with the father, goes, "That's my nickname on your schedule." I look at her blankly. "So you're telling me you came to get fingerprinted through a government organization?" and instead of using your real name, you used a nickname which bears zero resemblance to your legal name. She starts wailing, "It's not my fault. It's not my fault." They started threatening to sue us because we won't fingerprint them, because their daughter is missing work hours, because we're keeping her here. My boss and I just look at each other and smile, realizing the idiots that we are dealing with. He tells them, "We are not paying you guys anything." The dad starts making a scene again. "I'm going to call her employer and tell them not to bring customers to your facility anymore." My boss is okay with that. Truth be told, doing fingerprinting was just a service to our county. They actually lose money every day paying me for the position because the fingerprint company paid so low. We are just third-party contractors. Anyway, eventually we give them the boot, but I still remember the girl wailing away, "It's not my fault. It's not my fault." And all I could do was glare at her with a look that said, "It really is your freaking fault." Frick parents who don't teach their children to take responsibility. I wouldn't take responsibility either if I knew my dad would go bat crap at me every time I was in the wrong. How they treat animals and people without power. I remember hearing as a kid about a Native American belief that's really stuck with me. After you die, and as you're entering the afterlife, you must cross a bridge. This bridge is filled with every animal you had a personal encounter with in your lifetime, and together as a whole they decide your fate, whether or not you can cross the bridge to heaven. This was the first and only time I've heard of your fate being decided by animals. Great, there's no way those mosquitoes are going to forgive me. Litter. If you throw your crap on the floor, then you have 1, no respect, and 2, you're a tramp. We went for a trail walk that leads out toward a dam and some rock formations with mini waterfalls. Broken drink glass was strolled along the entire trail. An hour-long walk, guys, and the amount of garbage at the falls was honestly mind-blowing. Like someone had brought 10 or so full bags and just busted them open all over the place. It's one of few natural areas in that city, and it just sucks so much that people care so little. It doesn't take much effort to just not destroy a nice thing with your litter. The internet has definitely made hidden gems a thing of the past. We never used to see the kind of litter we do now on trails. It's a travesty. I'd say on the other end of the spectrum, if someone is anxious about simple social interactions, like sharing their opinions, this is a big indicator that somebody's parents' temper had a hair trigger. Yup, I had severe social anxiety for a while, had no confidence to do anything on my own, and was very reclusive and never asked my parents for everything because my dad would explode at anything and everything and rarely say yes to anything. I tried getting around it by asking my mother because she was kind, but she had a habit of saying, "Ask your father," which instantly made me give up. I had no motivation and no confidence. Luckily things have changed for the better, but it has taken a hell of a lot of work that wouldn't have been needed had my father just been kind when I was younger. They never say please or thank you. My parents were super sticklers for rules and manners growing up, but they never say please or thank you in restaurants. It is so embarrassing eating out with them. I have seen that several times. The biggest example that comes to mind is a military family I have known my whole life. By no means am I ragging on military families, it's just where this particular family derives a lot of their identity. They have always been big on yes sir, yes ma'am, no sir, no ma'am. Their kids all grew into super respectful, awesome adults. But the parents? Rude as hell to waitstaff. I don't enjoy being out with them, and my family always felt we had to compensate with a bigger tip, since they are nightmare customers and insulting tippers. As an adult, I choose to spend time with their kids, but not the parents. My parents are starting similar distancing. They don't know how to do normal household stuff. I've seen people that don't even know how to make their own coffee or clean a toilet. God, that's me. My mum won't let me touch anything because I don't know how to do it. Well, no crap. You never taught me, and you don't believe I Google it? Can't wait to move out and feel like a functioning human. My mom is exactly like this. God, I remember like last week I decided, you know what, frick it. I'm gonna cook something, and if it fails, who cares? So I proceed to go tell my mom that's what I intend to try out. I know it seems dumb to even tell her in the first place. But if I hadn't, then she'd let all hell break loose, and she just was like, nope. Like, for frick's sake, I can literally do everything basic, vacuuming, cleaning, whatever you need, but I have NEVER cooked, and she is the sole reason as to why. Maybe this is embarrassing to put out there, but frankly I don't care. They act like mental illness is something you can just get over. It's just all in your head. I have an uncle who is a complete wasted, gets off work and it's straight to getting wasted and's possible till it's time to sleep. This dude kept telling me anxiety was a joke, and that I don't have any problems that hurt coming from a relative. Then I told him it is all in my head, because it's a mental illness, and that mad him off, and he tried fighting me. He then, after trying to fight me, called the cops and said I had drugs on me, my medication, and tried getting me arrested. I was in a bad place in life and needed a place to stay. Obviously this was the wrong person to trust in helping me. That level of alcoholism is a huge indicator your uncle is suffering from a lot of mental issues too. I feel for you having to take that from somebody who clearly isn't dealing with their own problems well. People who don't offer to help you clean up when they are visiting you. Like having friends over and them leaving you with all the drink bottles, bowls, and glasses on the table. I don't mind cleaning up, but I always offer when at someone else's house. You make the mess together. Wait, really? Lol, interesting. My mom would have strangled me if I ever allowed a guest to clean up, let alone ask them to. The offer is the key. My wife and I would refuse, but when someone has helped trash the place, it's really nice to hear the offer. Inviting themselves to others people's homes or gatherings. Years ago my ex and I were planning on doing a double date with my brother and his wife for Valentine's Day. One of those places that do tricks and cook the food on a big grill in front of you. My mother invited herself, and since the tables fit up to 10 people, she invited more people. I didn't even know until a huge group showed up. Of course I was expected to pay, even though none of them were invited. Invited herself to Valentine's Day dinner date. Amazing. They get angry too easily. What the frick did you just freaking say about me, you little bitch? I'll have you know I graduated top of my class in the Navy SEALs, and I've been involved in numerous secret raids on Al Qaeda, and I have over 300 confirmed kills. I'm trained in guerrilla warfare and am the top sniper in the entire US Armed Forces. You are nothing to me, but just another target. I will wipe you the frick out with precision, the likes of which has never been seen before on this earth. Mark my freaking words. You think you can get away with saying that crap to me over the internet? Think again, Friker. As we speak, I'm contacting my secret network of spies across the USA and your IP is being traced right now, so you better prepare for the storm, maggot. The storm that wipes out the pathetic little thing you call your life. You're freaking dead, kid. I can be anywhere, anytime, and I can kill you in over 700 ways, and that's just with my bare hands. Not only am I extensively trained in unarmed combat, but I have access to the entire arsenal of the United States Marine Corps, and I will use it to its full extent to wipe your miserable ass off the face of the continent, you little crap. If only you could have known what unholy retribution your little clever comment was about to bring down upon you. Maybe you would have held your freaking tongue. But you couldn't, you didn't, and now you're paying the price, you goddamn idiot. I will crap fury all over you, and you will drown in it. You're freaking dead, kiddo.